What's that sound? It's For Amusement Only, the EM and Bingo Pinball Podcast.
Welcome back to For Amusement Only. This is Nick Baldridge. Tonight I wanted to talk about our friend Rust. You go to pick up a game, it's been sitting in someone's shed or outbuilding or warehouse or wherever for years and years and years. It's covered in a fine layer of filth. But on top of that, and whatever mouse leavings you may find in there, the whole machine is covered in a thick layer of rust. Now, this is one of the things that will make me run away screaming in the night, potentially, and leave the machine there. If your stepper units are rusted, if you're able to examine the condition of them and see that everything is frozen in place and rusted, the number of hours it'll take to unfreeze everything, get all the rust taken off, and reassemble is usually more than I'm willing to spend, unless it's a title that I really, really want. So, you can normally guess at this by the condition of the rails, if they're metal, the legs, or something of that nature. On an older machine, it's a little harder, and you have to give a little leeway on the older machines because they don't come up all that often. So, is it something that you're ever going to see again? And how bad do you want it? That should really be the question. But, let's say you picked it up. Steppers are okay, they're sluggish, just like you would expect from any machine that's been sitting for a really long time. When you move them by hand, they don't fully reset. All those kind of common problems that I've been over before with rebuilding steppers have to be taken into account. But you've got incredibly rusty legs, and your coin door is completely rusty. The coin return button is rusted in place. How do you free all that stuff up? How do you make it shiny again? The answer is to either use a chemical product along with a lot of elbow grease. Something like Evaporust is usually pretty good and won't destroy your parts. You have to throw them in an enclosed tub of some kind that fits it. So, for example, if it's a leg, the best thing to do is to put the entire leg in, say, a PVC tube that is capped on both ends. And you take one cap off, you put the leg in, and then you fill it with Evaporust. And then you close it up. You fill it up like 3/4 of the way. Enough so that the leg is submerged when you lay the tube down. This allows for an even penetration of the chemical and will give you kind of an even finish when you pull it out. You'll still need to scrub to get the best finish off, and you can do this with a steel wool pad or similar. And then you'll need to polish it and then wax it. If you don't wax it, then it's going to rust right back again in probably the same spots it was rusted before, maybe more. When you use one of those chemicals, it strips off some of the protective coating on the metal, whatever existed before you put it in there. Another way is just with elbow grease, and depending on the size of the metal piece, this might be a good thing to do. Again, steel wool is your friend, and metal polish. There are other chemicals, of course, varying carcinogen levels and so forth. Not a one of them is good to drink, by the way. So, aside from that, when you get down to the small pieces, or You get down to like the coin door or something of that nature, the lockdown bar, your legs, maybe you've just got a few small spots of rust. One thing which you might try is getting a drill press with a wire wheel attachment, and that removes rust very quickly. Again, Steve Smith showed me this several years ago, and it works like a charm every time. You do have to wear eye protection, wear some gloves. The parts do have a tendency to fly, so just be careful. But it is phenomenal, the job that thing does, and it does it in such a short amount of time. Again, it's stripping off the protective coating, which has been pretty much destroyed by the rust anyway, so you do want to polish and wax beyond that. Another thing I've done with very limited success, but it has worked with very small parts, is to chuck them in the tumbler using a more coarse media and some metal polish, and you let it go for days and days and days, and you come back and most of the rust is gone. Now what you're left with is a pitted surface, so you still have to polish on top of that and wax it. So you might hear me repeat those two key phrases over and over and over again, polish and wax, but it's important. You have to do those things regardless of how shiny it looks when it comes out. It's going to look a million times better if you take the time to polish it and then wax it. It'll also protect it. So that's all for tonight. Thank you again for joining me. My name again is Nick Baldridge. You can reach me at foramusementonlypodcast@gmail.com or on the bingo line, which is 724-246-4671. That's 724-BINGOS1. You can listen to the show on iTunes, Stitcher, Pocket Casts, via RSS, on Facebook, on Twitter at Bingo Podcast. You can follow me on Instagram at nbaldridge. Or you can listen to us on our website, which is foramusementonly.libsyn.com. Thanks very much for listening, and I'll talk to you next time.